Well, it's a gorgeous February day in Pennsylvania. Me and the boy was, wow, those aren't the skis I use anymore, but we were beating up the slopes the other day. Whew, I tell you. But anyway, so this thing was about to go in for its annual Pennsylvania state inspection. We have state safety inspections yearly. There's my stickers. One's my emissions and one is my state inspection. And as you can see, it's February, so February of 20, so it's about to run out. And I was driving it to the inspection station, and at low speed my ABS started activating. It went, you could feel it pulsating. Of course, instead of coming to an immediate stop, I kind of rolled to a stop, which is unnerving unless you know what's actually going on. So we're going to see if I can do a quick little fix. I don't think that it's a major catastrophe, but it's worth a cheap looking at just to see. Even if it tests out good because it was intermittent, I'll probably still do the, or I know I'll still do the project, and I'll show you what I do anyway. Alright, here we go. Alright, so with your vehicle appropriately supported by a jack stand, and we're dealing with the front wheels only. Most of your ABS problems in these GM vehicles come from the front. Ask me why I know, because I've owned this one for more than a day. You're going to take a caliper and rotor off. What we're going to get at is right here. This little wire, and if you reach up in here, there's a plug, and you can unplug it. I wish I could bring it down to show you guys, but it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to do that. But anyways, just trust me, there's a plug up there. If you pull your fender well out, this one's already loose because I've had it out several times, but you can unplug it. I'll show you how to check it. But for right now, we're going to go ahead and pull this brake caliper and rotor off, because this is one of those things where even if it's not giving you an issue right now on either front side, you might want to take a look at it. Alright, I will, you got to take out your caliper bolts, your bracket bolts, pull the rotor off. The sensors underneath this rotor hat for your ABS. That's why you got to do all that. Okay, you see me next? I'll have all that off. Alright, we got our brake caliper and rotor hat off. 19 on the caliper. I think these are 21. Yeah. Anyway, they're probably different for different variations. This is a 1500 HD, which is a bit of a bastard brand. But anyway, what you're trying to get at is this guy right here. This is your Hall effect sensor. Now, I already broke it loose because if it broke off, I didn't want to have you guys watch me cry. But you're going to take this bolt out, and that's what you're going to use to check it. Now, I just realized that I'm going to tighten this back up because I want to show you how to check if this sucker's working. Right on. So this is the plug, and if you look inside of it, there's two prongs, but if you look way past them, those two prongs, that's where the wire is kind of crimped and locked in. That's the back half of the connector. Okay, so instead of buying some fancy clip or anything, you can take a regular multimeter. Sorry, spin around just a little bit. Alright, we're going to turn this on to about 2 volts AC. What this is a tiny electric generator. The sensor is magnetic, and there's a gear in here that moves past the magnet. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take, let's see if I can do this one-handed. It doesn't really matter which side's which, but you're going to go just below or past the pin, because you don't want to bust it, of course. And there's one. And alright, I'm going to have to come back to you when I get this hooked up, but you get the idea. Alright, Got both those in there. Right there you're reading 1.002 volts, which is almost nothing, if pretty much nothing. But let's see if I can get back far enough. Well, let me actually move this. Let's do it this way. Sorry, kind of shooting on the body here. Trying to get everything done. Alright, we got our 0.02 volts. Now watch as I rotate it. See how the numbers are all changing? I know that's horrible light. That's what you actually want to see. Don't concern yourself too much about what the number is, as long as you are basically getting a number. Because here's the deal. The ABS doesn't care what speed your tires are turning, or if they're even turning at the same speed. It cares when one of them stops turning. And that in turn makes the ABS engage. It thinks one of your wheels is locked up. So you're going to pull that Allen nut out, and then very, very gingerly, I'm going to grab this thing, I'm going to give it a little wiggle. Alright, I might need to wiggle it with a pair of pliers. The other one just wiggled right out. I already did the other side. Sorry about this intrusion, but when you're actually working on stuff, sometimes things change. Alright, now we're going to grab this sucker. Pinch it. Sorry. Give it a wiggle while you pull up. And you see, this is another thing that I didn't have on the other side. Come on, you stupid thing. There we go. Alright. Is these little shims, there's an argument back and forth whether or not you need them. The general consensus is if you put the sensor in and it doesn't hit when you do, like you spin it by hand and it doesn't, you know, feel rough or go pop 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 pop, then leave them out. If you feel it touch or something, then put them back in. I'm going to get them out. But anyway, you look. Let's see if I can get my light close enough here. Right in there. Ooh, I can only move it a little bit because my light's resting on it. You see those gear teeth? As they spin by the tip of this. Oop. Sorry, my professional lighting setup. They spin by the tip of this magnet. When that happens, it causes electrical charge. But what happens also is, you see how rusty that is? Like I said, I live in Pennsylvania. That will actually build up underneath this and it'll lift it. Because it's only bolted on one side. It's not clamped on both sides, so it'll lift it just a hair. And when it does that, it causes the signal to be weaker. Now, like I said, your ABS doesn't care at what speed they're spinning, just as long as both are creating some current. So what happens is, with the weaker signal from that magnet, this sensor, whenever you get slow, like, it doesn't have to be off much. It could be off a couple, you know, millivolts. Whenever you get to a slow speed and both, like that side's only creating 4 millivolts and this side all of a sudden isn't creating any, it thinks this wheel is locked up, so then it engages your ABS. So what you want to do is take some rags, plug that up, okay, plug that hole up, get some sandpaper, sand it down, blow this hole back out, because this is a blind hole, it doesn't go the whole way through. and make sure your bolt screws in and out, and then we'll clean this off, put some dielectric grease over everything, smear it up real good, and then pop that sucker back in, and that should take care of your problem. Now, I did a Pontiac Aztec. I know it's not a great car. It wasn't my car, and it had the same issue. The problem with the Pontiac was this was actually molded into the bearing. Okay, there was no screw. There was no way to pop it out. I had to change the bearing. And that's another thing. If this does not fix your issue, 98% of the time you have a wheel bearing that's going out. Because as that wheel bearing goes out, it'll start to, that gear will start to do this. It'll start to, well, it'll do this. And then it's close to the sensor, it's away from the sensor, close way, close way, close way, and it doesn't create a good signal. So, beware. But I'm going to shove a little bit of a rag down in there, get some sandpaper, clean that up, and I'll show you when I put it back together. Alright. I cleaned it up fairly well. I pulled my stuff off. My shims. And what we're going to do, we're going to take a little bit of dielectric grease. And we're going to put just a little bit on our glove here. Dab it there. I'm going to dab a little bit on there, just as a little. It probably won't make a whole bit of beans of difference, but you know, it didn't really cost anything either. Now I'm going to shove this guy back down into his hole. And it doesn't seem to be affecting anything. I can feel it. But one thing I did notice is when I spin it, we're still resting under 0.02, but when I spin it, that number is a lot bigger than it was earlier. So I think that was, zoom back out. I think that was part of our problem, but I'm going to go ahead and put that bolt back in, put everything back together. Next time you see me, we'll be hopefully taking a test drive. Alright, let's see if it worked. I'm lying to you, I already know. Ah, no ABS. Let's see if it works. Yep. Now, most of you understand that you don't have to be going very fast, because the ABS sensor used to happen like about 5 miles an hour. Like I said, it doesn't matter really that they're both creating the same amount of current, as long as they're both making current. Don't mind that check engine light, by the way. That's a mass airflow sensor. I just really don't want to change it. I know it's stupid easy, but I'm lazy. Alright. Well, I'm going to turn around and go back to the garage, because that's the end of this one, and that's a wrap. Goodbye.